Another delay for the 777X can only mean one thing: more frustrations from Dubai-based Emirates, who are eagerly awaiting the jet. The president, Sir Tim Clark, when speaking on the sidelines of the APG World Connect, and as broken by Aviation Week, said he was feeling a bit miffed after learning once more that the jet would be delayed. However, it wasn't the delay, while that's frustrating, more the circumstances around it. See, a lot of the anger and frustration actually stems from the lack of transparency, and from the fact that the reporting of the delay actually came from the media, according to Clark, not from the manufacturer directly, who said that he had been in communication with Boeing recently, and there was no hint of a delay confirmation despite the discussions surrounding it. Emirates should have long been flying the 777X, with the first delivery initially slated for, believe it or not, the beginning of the decade, but that was pushed back several times. The airline then hoped to see the delivery in the second half of 2026, then at worst a delay to early 2027. But with the recent news, Emirates is concerned and is seeking clarity on the possible timeframe, as a 12-month window would have significant ramifications if it falls towards the latter stages of 2027 rather than, say, the earlier months. Emirates had previously actually expressed some confidence in how the program was tracking, that only coming in the last couple of months. However, it also warned and said that it was going to be rather cautious given the history, and it still felt that there was a possibility the 777X may not be flying across its operations until 2028, which would be 8 years after the initial launch plans, and that certainly now looking the more likely. All the frustrations from the Dubai-based company stem from the recent firm confirmation that Boeing would not be able to meet the 2026 first delivery of the 777X that it had outlined, as mounting pressure to make this happen occurs. The long-haul jet remains uncertified, and during a recent quarterly earnings, the business reported an additional $4.9 billion charge due to delays in the program and payments to affected businesses. While the charges do already add on to the $10 billion worth of them to date, the highlight was also Kelly Ortberg confirming that the 777X's launch would be pushed back to 2027 after admitting in the last, say, 3 months that a mountain of work still needed to be done and that they had fallen behind as a business on previously established timelines for approval of this aircraft. Emirates' relationship with the 777X has certainly been one that's been hit and miss for many years now. There's been cancellations, empty threats, and just so much more. Much of the frustration has been led on a public scale from the Emirates president in Sir Tim Clark. He's always been very outspoken on matters across the industry, which has been fascinating, I think, from a perspective of looking in, but the 777X delays just so happen to be one of the more prominent conversation pointers in the last 5 years. With over 200 777X jets on order, Emirates knows that this model is going to play an integral role in the building blocks of their future fleet. So as a result, they have remained very strong on getting this plane in sooner rather than later, but unfortunately it's been out of their hands, and for the last half decade they've been forced to make changes to their scheduling, retirement, and also growth plans based on initial forecasting. Now, there are some people that sit in the camp that completely understand and will validate the concerns that Emirates has with the Boeing 777X, something you absolutely can't deny as the truth. There are others that will, however, look towards something like the A350-1000, which has now been certified for a prolonged period, but Emirates has simply not moved for this jet, instead sticking to the 777-9, remembering that during the height of the frustrations, they made very public threats towards the program, saying that they would cancel orders because of what was taking place. Those threats had no end product or backing behind them. In the end, the company probably leveraging its frustrations to secure better terms, but it still feels like, at least from Sir Tim Clark, that there remains a bit of discrepancy in terms of communication between a manufacturer and airline standpoint. That is something, no doubt, that the Dubai-based carrier would want solving sooner rather than later. Very keen to hear your take down below in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.